guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Web3 Quick Bites, the show where we jump to the latest beats in the decentralized world and chat with some of the brilliant minds in the Web3 industry. I'm your host, Olabisi, and today I'm thrilled to be joined by William. William is someone who has seen it all in the wild west of Web3. He's the CEO and co founder of K3 Labs, where they are building cool automation tools for Web3. But his journey is way more interesting than just that. Before diving into the blockchain rabbit hole in 2017, William spent over 20 years in FinTech, helped build three startups that got scooped up by Fortune 500 companies, and even served as the chief revenue officer at Curve before PayPal came knocking with their checkbook. He was also the head of business development at Chainlink. So yeah, he knows a thing or two about this space. Today, we're going to talk about everything from workplace casino vibes to the absolute silliness happening in the space and hopefully uncover some of the magic eating beneath all the noise. So grab your coffee, tea, or whatever keeps you going, and let's dive into today's conversation with William. Hi, William. It's so great to have you on the show today.
Well, hello. Thank you for having us.
How are things going over at K3 Labs?
We are doing very well, thank you. It's a crazy time, I think. There's a lot going on in the world, but I think it's a fun time to be building in the Web3 space, and I think we're still very, very excited about what's to come.
Ah, that's cool. So, my first question for you today will be you've had quite the journey from traditional finance to Web3. What was that aha moment that made you think, I need to get into this crazy space? Was there a particular incident that sealed the deal for you?
Yeah, I think that what crypto really resonates with me is that earlier in my career, kind of before I got into fintech, I spent a lot of years overseas in international development. I was working in Eastern Europe and trying to, you know, think if I was going to have a career. My first career, the career I wanted to have was maybe like to work for the World Bank or to think about how we would work in a place like that, and it just was very hard to figure out how to do that back then. And then when I learned about crypto, I realized, oh, this is actually more. This could be more impactful on those same goals that I had back then, than what we were working on at the time. So I did work with the World Bank briefly. I did do a couple of missions. I was overseas. I was trying to do some work, but when I learned about Bitcoin, and all of the other aspects of the ecosystem, I said to myself, actually, this is a really, really nice marriage of technology and my interest in what we can really do with it overseas. So I that's really what kind of clicked for me.
Right, cool. So, you've been in the fintech industry for 20 years before Web3. What was the most shocking or amusing culture shock you experienced when you first dived into blockchain?
I think what was the most the most shocking was, we are such a wonderful cast of characters in our industry. People that are incredibly serious with their suits and their ties, and then people who show up at a conference wearing nothing but a robe. I mean, there could be a wide range of people that we run into in our daily life, and that is definitely different than most other industries, I guess. But, but it says a lot about us. It says a lot about that we're both a very serious place, and we're also potentially both, a very new and place, and we're still trying to figure out maybe where we are in between. I was just at a conference 2 weeks ago, and we still have quite there's still a bit of that robe culture, and it's interesting. It's interesting to try and see where we can find our own path.
I agree with you on that. Web3 is quite an interesting industry with a lot going, especially with the market downturn. It's nothing short of interesting, really.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it was interesting to be I feels like every time I go to a conference, there is some sort of market. I should stop going to conferences, I guess, because every time I go to a conference, it seems like I'm there during a market downturn, and everyone's kind of sour, and they're, like, not happy. I would love to go to a conference once when it's flying and everyone's in great spirits. Um, but, yeah, I was at a conference a few weeks back in Denver and, with a lot of the other people, and yeah, there's some raw feelings out there right now, but I think it's because people are missing the bigger picture. I also wonder if they haven't been around long enough to have seen that these things do come up and down. It's pretty normal, really. I don't know why people think this is different than it's been in the past. So I guess that's an interesting question in itself.
It is actually because I check Twitter and everybody's always saying, "Oh yeah, this is the worst market they've ever experienced. They know what is happening." Because they usually used to be up for altcoins, but now it's like everywhere is just red. Nothing seems to be, no one seems to be making any profits, and people just keep giving themselves the false hope. Like, okay, because in January they said it was going to be better in February. February has passed, they said it's going to be better in March. Now this is March. They're saying it's going to be better in April. So no one even knows when the market is going to pick up again. It's it's just
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess that kind of takes us to our onto part of what we're going to talk about today too. Though, is like real projects, real. There are a lot of people doing a lot of wonderful stuff. DeFi volumes are up. DeFi is still doing tremendous amount of important work all over the world, opening up markets to new people. Uh, those companies are making tons of money. I don't know. If you're just looking at the price of altcoins, I don't know if that's really a fair way of saying whether or not we're doing well. I'm not sure that's the right metric to look at. I don't know. It's an interesting question. It's an interesting question.
right. We'll get into that later. Well, between all the memes and madness, you've managed to find and work on some really solid projects. What's your secret for spotting the something magical among all the noise?
Um, well, I just am it's probably I'm an overly skeptical person. If you bring me the smartest invention of all time, my first reaction will always be, "No way, it's silly, it is not gonna work." Like, it's probably a bad characteristic, but my first reaction is, "No, that doesn't sound like it's gonna work." It's a very healthy, perhaps, amount of skepticism, and then I work my way slowly, and I start learning more, and I start learning more, and then I eventually get to the point where I start, uh trying to see where you can find something. Whereas other people think that everything that is gonna work all the time. I'm the opposite. I am very, very so I kind of filter out a lot of things, and it's really only the things that I think really have the strongest legs, and I miss some great opportunities that way too. So I'm not exactly 100% good at, with my instincts, but because but I do tend to find the most solid things by taking that approach. And, I've kind of been that way most of my career, to be honest, regardless of whether it's crypto or not. So there are definitely some amazing projects going on, and I do just try to cancel out the noise. I actually don't spend a lot of time on Twitter. You talked about Twitter before. I feel like that would drive me crazy if I was on crypto Twitter every day, because it is hard to listen to all that, and, I think it would drive me crazy. I would get too worried about, things up and down with Twitter.
Right, cool. So people often compare Web3 to a casino. As someone who's seen both the serious and wild sides of it, what's the most absurd casino moment you've witnessed in the space?
Well, the most absurd thing is are these meme coins, right? I There's been different versions of these things over the years. I think they're particularly absurd now. I think that the idea that a politician could get behind a coin, or even a celebrity really could get behind a coin, and then for 2 weeks people would actually wanna buy it. Um, they must know it's gonna go up and it's gonna go down, and they're just, I guess, hoping they can get in and get a little bump before it goes down. I don't understand, I don't understand any of that. Like, I don't understand why anyone would wanna get involved in that. I don't understand why on some level, I don't understand why it's allowed to happen. I was like, why we allow that to happen? It's I don't know, it's just clearly an obvious, money grab. I don't it that to me is pretty absurd, and I actually think that's probably why people are more down now than they were in the past. And, they are saying, "Oh, that's the worst ever," is maybe because they feel a little disappointed and let down that Millet, who is kind of he's kind of a libertarian, like, god. A lot of people really look up to him and think of him as a Bitcoin pro Bitcoin person, and then the Melania coin, Trump stuff, and I think maybe there's a little bit of a sadness that some of those people are joining in on that. That maybe that's what's got people down. But like that, all of that stuff is pretty silly and crazy to me. I just can't understand like if why people. I guess they want to try to get in and out quickly and think they can make a little bit of money, but it's clearly not going to work out for them. I mean, it's I don't know why they would have the feeling that it could work out for them. So I feel really bad for people who maybe lost money there, and they didn't understand what was happening, so
Right. So, before Trump got sworn in as the president of the United States, there was this excitement that was going around in the crypto world that once Trump becomes president, the crypto space is going to be bullish and all of that. So, were you also part of the people that that had faith in Donald Trump becoming the president, that the crypto space was going to be super bullish?
So, honestly, I was, first of all, very surprised. I live in the United States, and I did not think he was gonna win, and I was actually pretty comfortable. I feel like that we've made a lot of progress here, and that we would likely get better legislation regardless of the outcome. Most of the legislation in this country comes from our Congress, not from our president. So the Congress itself was going and has been going in the right direction for the last couple of years. So I wasn't too worried about it either way. I thought we were going in the right direction. I do think we need some better legislation. Um, but and then he surprised me to win, and I was like, okay, well maybe that will even go faster. So that's but in some ways that's a positive thing. So maybe that'll happen. But I do know that these things take time, and I think that, maybe another issue is that there was such a big bump and such a big piece of excitement that occurred when he won, but people do have to realize that in order for people to actually get in a room and write a law and then review the law and get it researched, and, like, it's gonna take a while for these things to happen. It's not gonna happen, and it's not as easy as just signing an executive order, which a lot of these there's a lot of belief, I guess, that all you have to do is sign up one piece of paper and everything's gonna be fine. That's just not how government works. Certainly, that's not how our government works. So, maybe that's another part of the puzzle here is people are realizing that this is gonna take some time to actually get sorted out. So without question, we need some better rules and regulations here and some better, guidance, and I definitely think we're headed that direction.
But people are really disappointed though, because what the market is showing right now, they're like, oh no, Donald Trump was supposed to make things better. The market was supposed to be super bullish. So what is happening? What is going on?
Yeah, well, I think, again, people think that he can just even he thinks that he can just snap his fingers and all these magical things happen. Like, that's just not that's just not how it works, right? And there might be some countries in the world where one election can instantly impact something, but that's not normal, right? Normally, it does take some time for these things to happen. So maybe there was I think his team has good intentions around crypto. I think he's got some smart people around him in this specific area, at least. He's getting some very good, I think, advice in this particular area. And I think they will come up with some smart plans, but it will take a while for them to happen. Like it's just normal. It's a normal thing. We have to be patient. I think maybe that's part of you were saying earlier what's different about this industry from the other industries I've been in. There might be a little bit more, not quite as much experience from the average person in our industry now. So they might overreact. There might be a little bit more emotion, I guess, in this industry than there is in other parts of the economy, where people are a little bit more relaxed and appreciates these things take a little bit of time.
I guess we just have to be patient and wait it out, Steph.
Yeah, no, I get everyone wants immediate. It makes sense, right? And we did get an immediate bump, but the same thing happens with the price of a stock. Some crazy exciting announcement happens at a company. A stock goes up and up and up and up, and then it turns out it takes years for the revenue to catch up to that stock, and then there's actually a lot of sell pressure on the stock because the stock gets way over excited before the actual impact of the news starts to hit the bottom line. I feel like the same thing is true in our industry. You can't. It's not just about news, right? It can't just be about vibes. It has to be about real work. We have to be doing real things. We have to be building real protocols that are being used for in real ways. So it's going to take some time for all that to happen. Just it's a good thing. It's a good thing, actually. That means you get good results if you take your time and do things right.
Right. So fingers crossed then. As someone who's been around since 2017, if Web3 was a circus, which acts would you say are the main attractions right now, and which ones are just clowning around?
So DeFi remains, I think, the most interesting thing that's happening in our space, and Bitcoin. I mean, I'm a big fan of Bitcoin. I think it solves a lot of problems in our world, and I think it's going to continue to be a story for a very long time. DeFi, I think, is can be done correctly is a huge boon to the international development question that I brought up before. Like when I was thinking about how could we bring liquidity to parts of the world where they don't have liquidity, earlier in my career when I was trying to focus on those things. It turns out that DeFi actually just kind of did that organically, and I think that in the right hands and working in the right ways, it can be really really powerful. So I think those two stories are still going to be the stories that we talk about for a very very long time. There are other stories there. Accountability is great. I definitely think that we will see better government systems as governments move more and more processes, to things that should be on the blockchain move to the blockchain. So we'll get those things over time. But I think those are the two stories that right now remain the main event. And I don't think they're going to go away anytime soon. Probably never. I don't think they're ever going to go away. I mean, I wouldn't be in the space if I didn't think that those two stories are going to be around for a very long time.
Right. So, a follow-up question to that. I mean, in this industry, we've seen everything from people selling NFT rocks for millions to people YOLOing into random meme coins. What's your favorite, you won't believe this actually happened story from your time in Web3?
There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. I still can't get that picture out of my head of the guy who showed up at the conference in just a robe. Um, yeah, I think the Malay coin is definitely a milestone that we need to we're going to remember. Um, the no I don't even think he was that involved in it, but the notion that you could have a politician supporting a tweet that drives a coin up thousands of X and then crashes in a rug. I mean, it's remarkable. It's remarkable that can happen, actually. I still think it still blows my mind. It blows my mind that people who have a lot to lose, and politicians have a lot to lose. They're very high profile figures. So do celebrities. They have a lot to lose. They have a lot of their entire both in both cases, it's based on their brand and it's their fans and how they trust them and whether they enjoy their content. And so for them to put themselves out there to support something that is the most likely outcome is gonna be negative for their fans to get involved in it. Like, I find that really, really surprising, and I can't believe that people are doing that, and not being more careful, and I think the Kardashians did it, and they immediately realized this wasn't gonna be a good idea, and they got out. They did NFTs, right? I think there were some high profile examples a couple years ago, and some people instantly found out, oh, this could be bad for my brand. I shouldn't do this, and yet you still see people trying it, and I think it's really it's a real bummer because it's not helpful, and it still surprises me that people are trying these things.
Yeah, so also after that, I think the meme coin craze really did tarnish the image of the crypto industry though, because now most people see it as get in, get out kind of thing. They're not in it for the long term anymore. And it's really ruining what the industry originally set out to be. I wish there was a way to just cancel any meme coin creation, honestly. Because I didn't like what it did to the market last year. I think the meme coin craze actually started last year, or was it 2 years ago?
I mean, there's been versions of it since the very beginning. I mean, really. I mean, the meme coins, I guess, is a very specific to we know for a fact that this is just a joke and we're having some fun and, we're gonna build a platform that you take some random picture. But I mean, you could call the NFT thing kind of the first version of a meme coin, right? It wasn't radically different. They were pictures of apes, right? I mean, there wasn't it wasn't like they even had more actual intrinsic value because they actually you owned ownership over you had digital rights over something. Uh, those are meme coins with an underlying uh piece of with an underlying artifact. These are just meme coins that have absolutely nothing under them. Yeah, I don't know. It's been 18 months or so. Yeah, it's really sad. I don't know why people get excited about those things. I also, to be honest, I don't even know why that had to be on crypto. That could just as easily have been just on an unregulated website. Like, it didn't have to be Ethereum based or we're sorry, Solana based, whatever it was. Like, it didn't have to be. There's no intrinsic reason why that has to be Solana based. That all those transactions, most of those transactions were happening on centralized parties. It wasn't like they were happening on chain, uh, with each and every moment. So I don't know. It's a really interesting, phenomenon. I don't know why people got excited about it. I don't know why people enjoy it, but I don't know a lot about people, but people who do all kinds of things. So who am I? Who am I to say?
So I think I know why they were making a lot of money. So that was pretty exciting for them.
I guess so. Somebody did. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if if most people. I think most people obviously lost money. That's how these things work. There are a couple people make money and most people lose. So, and yet people still play. So it's an old story. It's an old story.
So away from meme coin craze, let's talk about your work with K3 Labs. What made you think, okay, this is something worth building when there are so many quick money opportunities out there?
Um, so basically, I actually almost stopped. After we worked at Curve, had some great success there. Worked at Chainlink, really enjoyed working at Chainlink. Had some wonderful success there. I almost left the industry and said to myself, "Well, I'm not sure what more we can do. Like, I don't really know how much further blockchain can go to to be serious because there's a huge gap between public blockchains and like business quality blockchains." But then I met a really smart, amazing guy, my co-founder, Ivan, and he shared some of the passion that I did, and we talked and we realized, we could do it. There is the opportunity to try and create serious software for the blockchain industry, and it doesn't have to be. It can still work, right? It can still bridge the gap between Web, let's say 2 and Web 3, call that Web 2.5. There is an opportunity there. So we and it was very hard to raise money for a serious project. I will be honest with you. It remains difficult to this day. If you don't have a quick turnaround, a quick win, a quick little gimmick, it's also hard to get, even you get VC money in the door. Like, it's not. This is there's a lot to this industry that's really interesting. The way it works, the way it's funded, the way people chase certain stories. So there's a lot to be said about all of it, but at the end of the day, we got some amazing investors who believed in the real work that has to get done. We did get some money in the door. We were able to build a serious tool, and it's not easy to do. Again, because most people are not incentivized to build serious tools. Most people are incentivized to build some silly thing that's going to go viral for a week and make money off of it. The incentives are very strange. Whereas obviously in the traditional technology world, you're incentivized to build serious things. So it's just it's just different. But I'm really proud of what we have done. We have got a great tool set. It is now we've taken kind of the stress and the need to code every single little thing from scratch out, and we've made an automation tool that allows our users to interconnect any kind of blockchain service with any Web 2 service and back and forth. And do so with in a no code fashion, just the same way that there's plenty of tools that do that in traditional software. So being able to do that with Web3 software, I think is very difficult to do. It's not as easy as people think, but we're really proud of what we built.
Oh, that's super cool. A follow-up question to that will be for someone building automation tools in Web3, you must see some interesting patterns. What are the most common oh no moments you see projects run into?
Um, I think the most common, so I think the biggest challenge that most companies have is that they are building for a Web3 audience first. And they are thinking, okay, what is it that Web3 users need? And so even when they're trying to do serious work, they're filling gaps to a relatively small audience. There's not that, relative to all of the world and all of the businesses everywhere in the world, a number of like hardcore Web3 players just isn't very much. So we did the opposite. We started with, let's build for the broader world first. Let's build for the banks first, the I don't know, the insurance companies, people that are not Web3 natives. Let's make sure that we have a tool that would work for them. And then we can add things that will make it cool for DeFi. That's fine. But you don't. I think if you start there, then you really limit yourself to the audience that you're attracting, and then your long term like revenue opportunity is limited. It's just kind of, and also you have so many people because they raised money through a coin, they give their service away for free, and this is also something we have to ask ourselves in this industry, if whether that makes any sense. Because if someone's not really willing to pay for something, you really don't know whether it's any good. So it's there's a lot of things out there that are free, that are open sourced, that are like, I don't know. It's just a very unique place to do business, and you just have to be. Uh, I think we're trying to take a traditional approach to it, which confuses some people, but I do think that's the right way to do it. They think about traditional users, think about your which what your actual revenue path is, think about what your actual service is going to be, build for a broader audience. These are all very traditional approaches, and I've been around for a while, so I'm using the same playbook that I've always used, and I do think that that is what's helping us be different than the rest of the stuff that's out there.
So a question came to mind now, which is, we don't, or should I say, we have a couple of projects that are building long term in this space, aside from those that just want to raise money and then run away and never to see or hear from them again. As someone who is building long term, what are the challenges that you're currently facing building a long term project or building a long term company and brand in Web3?
It's a competition for oxygen. I mean, what I mentioned before, I don't spend a lot of time on Twitter. Obviously, we as a company do. We have to. That's where a lot of our users are. That's where a lot of the announcements happen. Um, but it's impossible, in my opinion, to compete for oxygen. And what I mean is just airtime and intrigue. If I really feel bad for any project that was trying to do something very serious the week that the Malay coin came out or the week that the Melania coin came out. 'Cause there's no way you're going to get anybody's attention when these things happen, right? So, or when a day when Bitcoin falls 20% or something, or a week, I guess no, it doesn't fall in a day anymore like that, but it certainly falls over the course of a week in big swings. It's impossible to get your messaging out. It's impossible to get the attention of potential investors when all these things are happening. And so you really just have to try not to take that personally. You have to kind of keep your head down, and you have to keep building, and you just have to try to be patient. And I myself am not great at that. I have days where I I get really down sometimes because I realize, boy, this is just really hard. It is really hard. But really proud of the work we've done, and I wish more people were talking about what we're doing. I think what we're doing is really interesting, but people, they talk about stuff that I think is goofy sometimes. What can I do? People talk about all kinds of stuff. I can't you can't control what people want to talk about. People love to have fun. People love to talk about all kinds of stuff. So, you just have to just have faith in what you're doing, and try your best to keep the conversation serious. Talking to people like yourself is a good way to make that happen.
Awesome. So let's talk about if Web3 was a person. So if Web3 was a person right now, going through phases, what phase would you say we are in right now? Would you say we're in the rebellious teenager phase or the quarter life crisis? I mean, if you ask me, I'll think we're in the quarter life crisis, but I'd love to hear your answer.
Well, no, no, well, your answer is that's really quick. That's an interesting question. I've not heard that question before. I think, no, I think I I'm gonna be a little bit maybe controversial, and I would say that we are still so I have a child, so I am aware of this time. It's not really like a teenage. Maybe it's a teenage. It's like preteen. It's kind of like, that when you oftentimes, when your child is, like, 11 or 12, they have days where they act like they're 22, and then they have days when they act like they're 2. Like, it's a really weird time. It's a kind of a weird time. It's not even teenager where they're just angry and mad and don't like you. It's just that the brain is still in a place where some days it looks the world in a very serious way, and other days it just wants to be a little kid again. And so I think I'd probably put us there. I think we're probably still preteen. I think we're still figuring out who we want to be when we grow up. I don't think we are angry teenager yet. And we have days where we do some really cool and ask some really great questions and act like super grown-ups, and then we have days where we act like toddlers still. So, I think honestly that's probably where we are, and I hope we grow out of it. Not everyone does. I know some full-grown adults who still are like that. So, we'll we'll have to see, if we can grow out of that, but I obviously think we will, otherwise I wouldn't be, still working in the space.
Web3 is such an interesting place to be, to be honest. It is.
Well, look, you can't get down about these price the coin prices. Like, if you are living and buying on the coin price, if you think that Web3 is just about the coin prices, then I will say I think you're missing it. And I don't mean you personally, I mean anybody who thinks that,
Mhm.
as a generic statement. Like, if that's all that if you wake up and you get really depressed because you got a bunch of red on your screen, I think that I think you're in for a this might not be the right place because it's gonna be up and down. It's always been up and down. Anybody who's been in it 6, 7 years, I mean, it's just that's just it's not abnormal. What really matters is the overall quality of what's being built. um, are we offering more liquidity opportunities in other parts of the world than we did 5 years ago? The answer is yes. Can a farmer in a part of the world where they don't have access to insurance and they don't have better access to capital, are they able to get better services and better things now because crypto is opening up an opportunity to work with them? I think the answer is yes. I will admit, obviously, I do not live in those parts of the world, so I don't know, but I do hear some great stories. I read, I read, a lot about this. I do talk to people in the development community. I do know that we are getting out and getting these things more broad. So these are the milestones that matter. Like, I genuinely don't care about coin prices going up and down. I really care about whether the services are reaching a broader audience. So to me, that's really what we have to be focused on.
Well, I think it's only a handful of people have only a handful of people are focused on the long term vision. Most people just wake up every day, look at the coin prices like, oh no, what is gonna happen to me? I want to retire my bloodline and doesn't look like it's happening anytime soon. So only have a
Yeah,
handful of
yeah,
people.
that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Again, I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that. I do think that it's a long-term game. And I will suggest it's going to any of those people, I would say I would suggest that Bitcoin is clearly, the asset that people have decided is got the most long legs to it. But yeah, I think, as a whole, we are building better services, reaching a broader audience. DeFi is bigger than ever before. We have more liquidity in the market. We are offering more interesting projects and products, more investment opportunities to a wider audience. All those things are true. So whether coin prices are going up or down, all of those, if people want to be in a good spirits, they should be thinking about all the positive things like that that are occurring.
Well, yeah, fingers crossed.
Exactly.
When you see traditional companies trying to enter Web3, what are some of the funniest how do you do fellow kids moments you've witnessed?
Um, well, I'm gonna go the other way, and I'm gonna say, what I think is funny, I guess, is I think it's funny that there's people in Web3 who think that the traditional companies are gonna come in and do things their way. Like, that's funny to me. Like, I think it's very naive. People think, "Oh, the whole world's gonna come in and they're all going to, remember a 20-word passphrase or something and write it down and put it in a safe deposit box," or whatever it is some people do with their crypto keys. Like, I think that's what's funny to me is that people are thinking that the rest of the world is gonna change how they think and change how they do business and come work the Web3 way. I think traditional companies are doing what they always do, which is very carefully stepping in. They're doing some interesting work. They're doing some POCs. They're building a couple of models. They're trying some things out. They're taking their time. They're spending lots of money on it. People don't really realize, hundreds of millions of dollars these big companies, if you add up all their spend, trying to figure out how they're going to prepare themselves for this. Like, they're actually being pretty smart about it. They're thinking about, hey, should we move our loyalty programs here? What are the advantages? Like, there's some interesting experimentation going on. Actually, I actually think it's really healthy. And I get a little bit bummed because I hear people in the Web3 space say, "Oh, they're not going fast enough." Actually, they're doing a lot. Yeah, I think they're doing quite a bit. They never go fast for anything, so I don't know why everyone thinks they would go faster for this. So, yeah, the funny stuff is when people think that they're gonna change, that people are gonna change to be more like them. That's not how it's gonna be. Like, if we're gonna get bigger and we're gonna get a bigger audience, it's because we're gonna change the way we work, not the other way around. And you see that with ETFs. Why Bitcoin has ETFs, and I guess Ethereum might have ETFs coming soon. And that's how actually a majority of people in the United States and Europe prefer to invest in these things. So, like, that looks like a traditional instrument, that looks like an old school thing, and that's what people are doing. So it's, um, I guess and that's some people think that's surprising. If you really want altcoins to be going up, then you need an ETF around altcoins because that's the way a lot of people are the most comfortable in getting involved, right? So
Right, sure. So between the meme coins, the NFT mania, and all the other chaos, do you ever look back at your traditional finance days and think, what have you gotten yourself into, William?
yeah, sure, sure. I also wonder, could I ever actually go back? Would they take me? Would they look at me? Do I have like a mark now on my forehead, like the mark of Bitcoin on my forehead? They would never take me back. Um, Yeah, sometimes. Look, there clearly there's sometimes, where you have to ask yourself, "Come on, what is going on? What is absolutely going on around me?" People are taking this beautiful technology that we love so much that could do so much wonderful good in the world, and they're just really pushing it to its boundaries with respect to lawlessness in some areas. I don't know. It is, yes, I have days where I have a really hard time uh, trying to tell my family that I'm doing serious work. Trust me, we're doing serious work. Trust me. This is important. This isn't just a joke. Trust me. There's some important stuff to be done here. It's hard sometimes to keep that persona going because sometimes the news cycle is just so against us. But I do think we'll get there. I really do think we'll get there. And there are already some really there's if you get through all the noise, there's some really great stories out there that I think do, uh, the I the very fact that remittance payments have gone from, like, 12% or some insane amount of money that you used to have to pay to ship money across borders, that even the traditional companies have brought their fees down radically to try to compete with crypto, is already a sign that, we've made the world a better place, right? That you just have to pick up on these stories that actually matter. These are the areas where we can have real impact. And even though the vast majority of remittance payments aren't going through crypto at this time, we have already impacted the price of those things because people realize they have to be more competitive. That's already a hugely positive story.
Oh, right, Jasmine. The part where you mentioned that you have a hard time explaining to the family what you do. I think I also have the same situation with my mother. It was easy for me to explain to her when I was still in Web 2 that, oh, yeah, I do marketing. But now, when I'm explaining, she's like, oh, okay. And then she goes about telling her friends, oh, my daughter does Bitcoin. My daughter does Bitcoin because that's the only thing she could pick from everything I've been explaining to her.
Yeah, that's right. I still my parents have stopped asking because they realize they're not gonna understand the answer. So we just talk about other things. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Right. Yeah, if you had to predict the next big what were we thinking trend in Web3, what would it be? And secretly, what kind of trend do you hope happens just for the entertainment value?
Boy, I really don't I the entertainment value question is really, really hard. Um, like, it actually upsets me that we're some of this stuff happens for entertainment value. I I don't know what the next big thing is gonna be. I really don't. And if I did, I would already be retired. I wouldn't still be working in this space because I was not ahead of any of these things. I was not the meme coin thing surprised me, NFTs surprised me, and I guess had I been ahead of either of those things, I would have made a lot more money. Um, I all I know is that there will be a next thing, right? And so investors will ask me sometimes, they'll be like, "Well, how are you positioned for AI? Or how are you positioned for this? And how are you positioned for that?" And we have a very general broad use tool. Our tool is usable for anybody who wants to work on any blockchain to do any work. We make it simpler, faster, easier to get started. Um, and my answer is the reason why we built it as a general purpose tool is for exactly that reason. I don't know what's next. I have no idea. And I don't know how long the things that we're doing now are going to be the things we're doing now. And I think it's a little bit tough to chase exactly whatever the very current, by the time, if you want to chase AI, everyone's looking AI. Everyone thinks AI is going to go in a decentralized crypto fashion. I don't know. It might very well be. Why would I know? But I do know if you started a company right now and you hired your first developer right now and you worked really, really hard on it, you probably wouldn't have something really, really good and usable and get it to market in less than at least 9 months. And by then, honestly, people could be talking about something new. So it's like it's really hard to keep trying to build new things just for whatever people are talking about right now. Um, so I actually tried, to be honest, not to worry too much about exactly what the next little thing is, and just make sure that we, at K3 at least, or have a broad use tool. And that would be my general, I guess, recommendation to most people is to think about making sure you have a more generic and less specific approach to the industry because you have no idea what's gonna come next. Like maybe it's like I'm kind of surprised video game stuff hasn't kicked off more. Like if you had asked me 2 years ago, I would have thought that there would be more crossover between video games and crypto. And in fact, that was what everyone was predicting even a couple years ago. And there's still a couple things, but it hasn't like blown up. It's not like totally crazy blown up. And that surprises me, so I guess it wouldn't surprise me if that gets new life or something, but I don't know. Like I said, I really, really don't know. I don't think anyone can predict these things.
Oh, fair enough, fair enough. And that wraps up today's episode of the Web3 Quick Bites podcast. We hope you enjoyed the discussion. If you have any feedback or questions, please reach out on social media at Web3 Quick Bites or send an email to web3quickbites@gmail.com. Thanks again to our guest William for joining us. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in. We'll be back next week with more exciting content. So be sure to subscribe and tune in. Bye.